Thanks for tuning in to our very first webinar, ever! But before we dive in, I wanted to take a brief moment to share with you a little bit more about our mission, to change the way people live their lives. Ergo was started with two goals in mind, to put the customer first and to build the most revolutionary hearing device the world has ever seen. We believe that people can only live life to the fullest when they hear life to the fullest, without making any compromises. We created a beautiful state-of-the-art device that allows you to hear the world in crystal clarity. And interestingly enough, we created the ultimate oxymoron, a hearing aid you'll actually want to show off, but no one can see. We've also gone out of our way to make Ergo easy to buy and try. You can do it right from your living room, or even now as you're watching this. Finally, we believe we're in this together. That's why we provide licensed professional support if you need it, when you need it, wherever you need it, for as long as you need it. At Ergo, we're committed to continually finding new ways to invent, simplify, improve, and challenge the status quo. We'll always push the envelope because at Ergo, it's not about how many sales we make, it's about how many lives we change. So before the webinar begins, let me talk to you about a few quick reminders. Reminder number 1. If you ask a question during the webinar, you'll be automatically entered to win your very own Ergo Neo. Just type your question into the comments and we'll select one lucky winner after the webinar is over. And just for participating in the webinar today, we'll share with you a special offer for your very own Ergo Neo. Stay tuned to the end for the details. Okay, enough from me. Let's get started. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to introduce you to two of my esteemed colleagues, Daniel Shen, founder of Ergo and Chief Clinical Officer, Susan Drew, one of the many, many fabulous personal hearing guides here at Ergo. Susan, let's start with you. Tell me about some of your experiences of helping people to discover Ergo.
I'm very lucky. I get to talk to our clients pretty in depth about what they need, what they're looking for. Some people come to us ready. They've been wearing hearing aids. They have an idea of what they're looking for, and we go through a series of questions to help them understand what we have. Some people come to us and have never worn a hearing aid, never been to the doctor, but know they're missing out. So I get to talk to them about where they're missing out, what they think they're looking for, and what we have. And we try to make a match.
And what's the typical journey they go through before they even call us? What does that look like?
Well, if it's somebody who's not worn a hearing aid before, it could be that their family and friends have told them that they should get a hearing aid, that they're not hearing everything. Maybe they're not hearing their grandchildren. Maybe they're not hearing very well at work. Not hearing their wife that well. So that could be...
That could always be a problem.
Yes. Or it could be somebody who's been wearing hearing aids for many years, wants a different style, wants a new technology.
Right.
So they find us and come to us, inquire. I call them, and we talk about what we have and what they need.
Must be amazing.
It's fun. I love it.
It sounds like it. I'm jealous. Danny, how long does a typical journey take for someone once they first start to get hearing loss till actually doing something about it?
That's a very long time. So on average, people, once they first notice they have hearing loss, wait about 7 to 10 years. And wow, a tremendous amount of time. It's actually, a lot of lost conversations, a lot of situations where they hear mumbling, a lot of situations where they, have difficulty and are experiencing difficulty in parties, in dinners, etc. And so, a lot of lost years.
Right, right. And Susan, what have you heard are some of the things that people say that they realize they've been missing after they finally try Ergo?
Missing out in just conversations. They don't even realize how much they're missing out and how much they shy away from groups of people in conversations because they know they're not going to hear. So they do it without even realizing it. And once they get the Ergo, they can hear everything. I even have people that don't tell their family members they're going to order it. And because you can't see it, they order it, they put it in, they go to the family reunion, and they can suddenly hear, and everybody's shocked.
It's their little secret.
It's their little secret. Yeah.
So, Danny, can you help describe for us what some of those differences are between Ergo and other solutions out there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the heart of it is, when we started looking at what to create with Ergo, it was trying to figure out not how do you tweak a product to make it slightly better, but how do you create a hearing aid that people would actually want to wear, which is actually difficult. If we look at all the reasons why people don't get hearing aids, there are a lot of barriers. And so we examined these and said, okay, the biggest barriers that we saw for people with hearing loss to get a hearing aid were the stigma related to hearing aids and hearing loss. So we wanted to make something that was invisible. There was an issue with comfort, having something that they could wear all day. So that was the genesis of the flexi fibers and the flexi palms to create something that was super comfortable and you forget you're wearing them. And then something that was extremely easy to use, because a lot of other people, they're concerned that they've seen their parents or their grandparents fumble with batteries or deal with little buttons and dials and become extremely frustrated. So we made it rechargeable, got rid of these buttons and dials, created something that's much easier and simpler for the demographic. And I think that main difference is that we're really honed into what the chief concerns are for the end user and created a product around that.
Amazing. And it's an incredible product. I mean, sure, I'm a little bit biased, but Susan, I mean, can you describe for us a little bit about how you help people overcome some of these barriers in your many years here at Ergo?
Well, the invisibility is huge. I have a lot of people that tell me if I have to wear it behind my ear, on top of my ear, I'm not going to wear a hearing aid, period. So this is really huge for them because it's, you know, matter of wearing something and hearing better or just never hearing better at all. So that's huge. And I think that having it convenient, not having to change the batteries out. I've had a lot of clients start using ours just for that reason. They're sick of them going out at inconvenient times. They carry them in their pocket, they lose them, and so that's another big part of it as well.
Great. I want to thank you both for participating today, and now we're going to take some questions from our viewers.
Okay.
Let's get started. Fred asks, how do I know whether Eargo is right for my hearing loss? And he got greedy on it. He asked 2 questions. Do you offer a hearing test? Susan?
We talk to you about your hearing, where you're experiencing some loss, if you feel like you are experiencing loss, maybe if you've worn a hearing aid before, what your doctor has told you. What was the second question?
Do you offer a hearing test?
We don't offer a hearing test per se, but there's a series of questions we can go through to better determine where your deficiencies are. If needed, we can get one of our licensed hearing professionals on the phone. They can ask a few more detailed questions to help better understand that.
Excellent. Danny, Mike is asking, are they rechargeable and have Bluetooth?
Yeah, great question. They are rechargeable. So one of the biggest complaints we heard early on were folks that didn't want to change tiny batteries. They were, say, even 6 millimeters in diameter. So being rechargeable was a big deal for the folks we're trying to help. And so did a lot of work, did a lot of battery work to make it rechargeable and last all day, about 16 to 20 hours. And so you just charge it overnight, and it works all day. In terms of Bluetooth, we have a Neo device that has a component that works with the phone, and so that you can use Bluetooth to connect to the charger and control the device, but it does not stream at this point.
Rich asks, is Eargo an amplifier or a hearing aid?
It's a digital hearing aid. Yeah, these are real hearing aids.
Yeah, this is a medical device hearing aid.
Got a question from Bill. Bill asks, are there any hearing conditions that Eargo cannot correct? And if so, what are they? Susan?
I'd say very severe to profound are areas that Ergo can't correct.
Got it. I hope I'm saying this lady's name right. Obiama. She asks, does using Ergo for an extended period of time have any adverse effects? Danny?
Yeah, great question. Using a hearing aid is generally accepted to not cause any adverse effects. The alternate is actually interesting. If you wait a long time when you have a hearing loss and don't use a hearing aid or don't get any treatment, that may have adverse effects. So one of the interesting things is when you have a hearing loss that's untreated, you have frequencies and sounds that your brain is not hearing, stimulation that your brain is not getting, and your brain starts to forget how to process these. And so what we see for a lot of folks that say wait 7 to 10 years or longer to get a hearing aid is their brain has to retrain over a long period of time in order to get used to that again. The other component, of course, is if you have untreated hearing loss, there's some great studies looking at association with social isolation and other downstream negative effects if you don't wear a hearing aid. So I'd say the bigger negative effect is really if you don't get treated.
Got a question from Lindsay. who asks, how do you talk with someone about hearing loss who doesn't think they have a problem or just always thinks I'm mumbling? Susan?
That can be hard. I've had a couple different situations where loved ones will inquire for them. And I always ask the question, are they open to wearing a hearing aid? Sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes the answer is yes. If the answer is no, it does help for them to see our sample kit. Makes them feel a little bit more comfortable about what it is, how it feels in their ear, what it looks like. And we do have some really good videos as well that makes them feel a little bit more comfortable.
Right. Got a question from Madonna, not the Madonna. Someone named Madonna. But I see the last name's not that Madonna. Is there a button on one of the earpieces that allows you to quickly and easily mute them? For example, like a screaming child in a restaurant.
Talking from experience. Yeah. So one of the other big things that we did was to make sure that you could control the device without having to use tiny buttons and dials. That was another piece that we'd heard from a lot of users of hearing aids that they didn't like. So what we can do is we have a very simple way of just double tapping on the ear to control the device. And you can control the device with the double tap to take it to a quiet or mute program in that case. So I'd say we do have ability to control it very easily. It's a lot easier than a button.
Great. Angela asks, do you offer a warranty?
We do. Yes, we offer a 1-year warranty with the product. You can also purchase an extra year of warranty.
Mark writes, how is Eargo different from other hearing aids I see advertised? Let's take that. Here, Danny, why don't you take that one?
Sure. I think at the heart of it, it's if we take a step back, it's that Eargo was willing to kind of reinvent what a hearing aid was to create a hearing aid that people wanted to wear. So, if you allow me.
Absolutely.
The first, when we started looking at this, we were shocked by how many people who need hearing aids don't get hearing aids. That's 8 out of 10 people. Even though hearing and being really engaged in the conversation is such an important part of our lives, 8 out of 10 people who have clinical hearing loss don't get a hearing aid. And so when we looked at that, we said, wow, what the heck is going on? So we started looking at what the things were that people were missing in the current hearing aids, current hearing solutions. And there were a lot. And that goes into what are the main differences. So one of the big pieces was to create a device that you couldn't see and you could trust other people couldn't see. So make it really miniaturized to be invisible. Secondly was to make it miniaturized to be invisible, but also at the same time extremely comfortable. And that's where the flexi fibers and flexi palms came in to create a very open, airy, soft feel. So you could put it in, basically disappears in your ear, and you can wear it all day. The third was kind of somewhat, as we described before, make it extremely easy to use. And that's where the rechargeability and the lack of buttons and dials and a quick double tap come in. And the other piece, in addition to just on the device itself, making the whole process much more seamless through our PHPs and PHGs, our telehealth, teleaudiology component, where people can get help, counseling, support whenever they want it, and then making it at a price that's affordable. I think all of these things, in isolation or together, are what makes Eargo stand out from other devices that people see. And we get that over and over again in terms of people who use our device and really see Eargo as like the only solution that really meets those needs.
Okay, next question comes from Madonna again. I've been told my hearing loss is mainly in the lower range. Are there modes that focuses at higher and lower ranges? Take that one, Susan.
Well, so the main area that we help with is high frequency loss, mid frequency loss. There's 4 sound profiles built in to cover those areas. So like Danny was saying, you have the flexibility to change that around. So you might be maybe at home watching TV with 1 or 2 people, sound level 1 or 2. Maybe when you go into a louder environment, you go up a sound level, maybe to a sound level 3, to help with the noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Next question from Peter. Does the new model offer any tinnitus masking?
Not at this time. It's a great question.
And quickly answered. Mike asks, will you have Bluetooth streaming soon?
We may, but not with the current Neo device.
Great. Those are all the questions. And thank you all for your questions. Thanks again. Welcome back. Danny, just one more question. Talk to us a little bit about how Ergo supports people getting reacquainted with the world of hearing again.
That's a great question. So when people start using hearing aids again, there's often a period of getting used to it and getting acclimatized to that hearing aid. And what really helps in that process is counseling and support from a professional in that space. And so at Eargo, we've incorporated and hired on personal hearing guides and personal hearing professional who are licensed audiologists and dispensers, who can really guide and help the user through this process.
Right.
And so these folks are also available anytime and anywhere that user needs. So the user can just pick up the phone and call.
Right.
And immediately get access. And so that whole process is fairly seamless and available to them.
Right. And there's no visits to a doctor. There's no appointments.
Absolutely. And
Right.
so we've had users before that might have to drive 3 hours previously to get to an audiologist or a dispenser, but here it's instant.
Right. Right. And Susan, you must have, I'm sure you've heard thousands of stories over the years of doing this. I mean, could you share with us one of your more interesting stories of people, when the support stories of when they called in and talked to a personal hearing professional?
Well, first of all, when they become one of our clients, they get very well taken care of. They get partnered with one of our licensed hearing professionals. We set up a call appointment for them to get that call a few days, maybe a week after they've received the devices. They go over the whole system, make sure they understand, make sure they know how to get a hold of them if they have a question in between appointments. So we're pretty close with them in the first early months. But beyond that, for the life of them having the product, we're going to be there. They're going to have somebody to help them with that. One story that comes to mind is a gentleman who, and he called me and told me about this after he had the devices. It was their 50th wedding anniversary, and he said, I love my wife, and I want to keep our marriage really good, so I'm going to get these hearing aids. And he got them, and he got some really great support from one of our audiologists, and he was just thrilled with Ergo and told all his friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. They are life changing.
Very life changing.
It's amazing
huge.
how many lives you get to change on a daily basis. But
I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you both for taking the time here today, and thank you for watching. I know some of you may be waiting patiently for the code that we promised you for a discount on Ergo Neo, and that code is webinar 200. Once again, it's webinar 200, and that'll get you $200 off a brand new Ergo Neo. And obviously, you've been listening to us today talk about Ergo and how special we believe it is. But here's a client. You can hear it right from them. So here you go.
Hey there, my name is Bob Minner. I'm a professional guitarist here in Nashville, Tennessee. I suffered from hearing loss. Now, that was kind of difficult to admit back in the day, but my life was taking some turns that I didn't really enjoy, like having to listen to the TV turned up more and having my wife say, hey, turn that down, or going to dinner and not being able to hear her properly, or being in a room with band guys and not being able to really enjoy the conversation with them because I really couldn't understand what some of them were saying. So my audiologist gave me these hearing aids to try out, for a week or so. And be honest, they were top of the line, but I just didn't like them. I didn't like the way they felt in my ears. They were uncomfortable. I didn't like the fact that I was connected to my phone. That was just one more thing that I had to complicate matters with. And I just didn't like the way they looked, I obviously not having any hair, it's hard to cover up the receiver. So I was really kind of frustrated, and so I started looking on the internet thinking there has to be a better way. And then I came across Eargo, and that changed everything. Unlike other conventional hearing aids, they are really small. You can see right here, I'm wearing them now. They're nice and discreet and small, and now I can go out to dinner with my wife and visit with her and actually have a conversation. Ergo has really, really changed my life for the better, and I really encourage you, if you're a musician or if you think you are suffering from hearing loss, check into Ergo and hear what you've been missing.
Hi, my name is Cecil Dunlap. I live here in Diablo, California. It's a paradise of outdoor activities. I do biking, hiking, golf, tennis, swimming. About 7 or 8 years ago, my wife started complaining that I couldn't hear her very well, so she suggested I go see an audiologist and have my ears checked. After the test came back, well, sure enough, I couldn't hear her. I also couldn't hear children very well, and so my high-range hearing was a little off. At that point is when I decided I better go and research hearing aids. Since I've had my Eargos, I've determined they're very easy to use. I just take them out of the case in the morning, slip them right into my ears. It takes about 2 seconds, and I'm good to go for the day. I leave them in all day. I rarely touch them again. And at night, I take them out, put them back in the case, and charge them, and I'm good to go the next day. I wear them when I bike because I can hear better road sounds, and they're just all around more effective for my general hearing purposes. Since I've had my Eargos, I've talked to several friends about them. I've recommended them to people. I really like them. I thoroughly enjoy them, and I think everybody else would too.
My initial interaction with Ergo followed my mother's successful experience with her hearing aids about a year ago. As a tech analyst at More Insights and Strategy, I quickly became fascinated with the hearing aid device space and learning about how companies like Ergo might disrupt the hearing aid market with innovative and differentiated solutions. Not only is the global hearing aid market large, currently about $20 billion in revenue, the market is growing at 4 to 7% year over year. We believe the growth drivers for the hearing aid market include characteristics like an aging population, as well as an increased awareness of innovative solutions like Ergo. In the United States, of the nearly 50 million Americans with hearing loss, it is estimated that less than 25% are actually using a hearing aid. We believe these tailwind factors favorably position Ergo to achieve substantial growth over the next several years, and that Ergo's nearly invisible form factor will help overcome the stigma often associated with hearing aids. Finally, Ergo's direct-to-consumer business model is aided by a team of licensed hearing aid experts who provide concierge-style service to their customers, and we believe this is an important departure from traditional retail's inconsistent customer experience. More Insights and Strategy is recognized globally as one of the top industry analysts and advisory firms, as ranked by analyst ranking firms, the press, and customers. It is because of these innovations that More Insights and Strategy believes Ergo is a compelling company to cover and we will continue to monitor traction in the hearing aid space over the coming years.